I'm Birgitte, and I work for a brand design agency, and I've been here for a very, very long time. My role has evolved over the years from doing client servicing through to doing our PR and our brand, and now I've kind of my role has evolved, and I'm now looking after our people, so I'm in HR. When I first started, or when Misa first started to say to me, look, you really got to come to this, I had recently joined our senior kind of management team, and I realized I was struggling to get my voice heard, because although we did have a few women in that management team, it was always the men who seemed to have the stronger voice, and it was very, very difficult to get a point across. And I felt almost like my the thoughts that I had and things I felt were important weren't considered important by the men in the room. So I joined DrivenWoman because I felt I could maybe build that confidence a bit more. But then during the groups and during the exercises, I actually started to realize that there were things that I wanted to do more of that currently I wasn't able to, and that I could do something about that. I was aware that I really needed to build my confidence in order to be able to speak up in these meetings. Well, our chairman has a very strong voice, and he seemed to always kind of just stop me short whenever I was talking, and I was so it really wore me down, because I came to feel that the only way that I could achieve was if I actually got his approval of the things that I was saying, and that was really hard because he just wasn't giving me that. And then in one of the groups one night, we were doing an exercise, and we were and as we were talking about it, I was realizing how important that approval by our chairman was for me feeling confident in what I do. And that night, as I was leaving the group, I was thinking it's really weird, because where does it all come from? Why do I have this need for approval? Because my parents have always been really, really supportive. I've never had to kind of go out of my way to get their approval. And then it suddenly struck me that it wasn't about my parents. It was about my grandfather, because my older sister, who I absolutely adore, she was always their favorite. They always saw her as kind of, she was the wonderful grandchild, and she always looked at them as her idols. And so through her, I knew that they were the ones to get approval from. They were the ones that were so important, because they were her kind of idol image in a way. Yet I wasn't getting their approval, because I was always kind of almost second best in their view. And I suddenly realized, I was in King's Cross Station, and my knees almost went weak. I suddenly realized that what I was doing was seeing our chairman as my grandfather. And from that moment on, almost just by being aware of that, I started to realize I don't need to do something about this. I don't need to get his approval. I need to focus on me feeling good about what I do. But that awareness I would never have got to had it not been for those exercises we were doing. And it's like it really freed me up. And it's quite funny, because where I sit now, I'm right next to his office, and so I'm actually talking to him much more than I have been before. But I'm quite relaxed about it, because I know what I do is really good, and I know I'm good at it, and I know his focus is on other things, and I don't need his approval for what I do. So it's lifted a huge weight off my shoulders, actually. It's through the conversations we have, through hearing what others have done, through the little or the different exercises. Each time there's something, there's a little tool I found. So that in one of those conversations, when we were sort of doing a talking 2 and 2, one of the lovely ladies there said, "Why, you're really hard on yourself, actually. Why don't you, reflect a bit more on the things that you do well?" And it was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." So on that day, I then started writing down every time I've done something that I felt actually I was quite good at doing that. I'd write it down, and I just did that for a couple of weeks, and already that started to make a difference to how I felt about what I was doing. So that was a little thing, but it just really built on something. And so each of those exercises, each of those interactions, and hearing how other people have solved their challenges, it all builds, and little by little, you just find lots of little tools, lots of little ways of developing. One of my really big discoveries last year was having done the vision board and sort of said, actually, what I really need, I need to be confident. I need to show that I'm confident about what I do. And I had this art of confidence on my vision board, and I was thinking, right, I need to find the art of confidence. I need to show, or to find a way of coming across confident, because then people will listen to me. And during the year, I realized that I just can't do that. I have to know my stuff absolutely properly before I can really trust myself or believe in myself. So I can't do that. So halfway through the year, I thought, okay, that's rubbish. There is no such thing as kind of just pretending to be confident. But I discovered my way of doing that. I need to know everything inside out, so that I know I've got absolute credibility, and then I can speak with confidence. There have been certain moments through the year where I know that thing that I've written down, I've done, and sometimes it's just about saying, I need to go and have a conversation with somebody. And there are particular moments in the year where I know that step that I did, that made a huge change. When I realized that I really need to focus on working with people rather than what I was doing before, my first step was to just go and talk to our MD and say, look, this is what I think I should be doing. And that conversation was the start of the journey to where I've now reached. And the fact that I'm now completely focused on people. If I hadn't had that first conversation, he wouldn't have known that that's what I wanted to do. And actually, it completely solved a challenge that he has, which was that our HR director would be retiring, and he wouldn't have had a solution to that had I not come forward and said, look, here's what I think I should be doing or working towards. So there have been little moments like that every now and then where that one little step has really made a difference towards that the bigger goal. I wouldn't have made myself do it. It might have been, oh yeah, I need to do that at some point. But knowing that there is I need to come back next month. I need to say that yes, I have done this. It really. It really puts focus on it, I think. Now, there's one more real aha moment I really wanted to talk about as well, which was at the Festival of Doers during one of the talks when that wonderful female boxer was
Hazel Gale.
Hazel Gale, yeah. When Hazel was talking about how we all have a monster, and that's kind of telling us negative things, and stopping us from just feeling good about what we do. And she made us kind of visualize what our monster was and what it's saying to us. And it was like, and she said exactly what my monster always says to me. And it was like oh my God, I didn't realize that it's like that for everybody. And that was a real relief in a way. But then that she said to us, you can't fight your monster, you have to work with it. That's made such a shift in the way I do things. So every time now when my little monster comes up and says, oh, you're not good enough, because that's what my monster says, I go, okay, so let's just see, why did it say that at that point? What is it that I didn't do well enough, and what do I need to do differently in order to overcome that? Rather than going, oh no, I'm not good enough, I go, oh, actually, so my monster has become my coach. It's become my kind of thing that helps me to find ways of doing things. So just the other day, I had this. I think I'd forgotten to do something, and my monster was saying, "Oh yeah, you're so disorganized. You're not good enough at making sure everything gets done." And so I thought, okay, so I need to do something about that. So I've now set up a Trello board on my computer. I've got all my different actions all organized. It's all there. It's clear. It's under control. And it's like, it's so simple. But instead of going, oh my God, I'm so disorganized, I've actually gone, oh, I need to get organized. So it's changing that negative to a positive. So that was an amazing kind of insight that came from that talk at the Festival of Doers. I love our group. I love the bonds that we've established. There's some of our us regulars who come every week, and we know each other. I mean, it's quite funny because you know each other in a deeper sense than some of your friends in a way. I mean, we know things about some of each other that we don't tell anybody else, but it's so free because you don't have to. You have no. You don't owe each other anything. Like sometimes there's things you can't tell your friends because they would go, "Oh no, you're mad. Why would you want to do that?" But with these people, it's a safe place where you can be completely and utterly open and honest. And it's only by being so open and honest that you can actually really address your own challenges. But it's not very often that you can be that open and honest with friends or family or anybody. So it's a safe place to just really go right deep down inside and find out what it is that's stopping you from doing things. So I love those groups. I look forward to them every month rather.